No games, no gimmicks. We're going to show you how you can find a Power BI job in 3 genuine steps. And as a bonus, we're also going to tell you about the biggest interview mistake that people make and how you can avoid it. The 3 steps I'm about to show you are simple and straightforward. These are the same steps that I've shared with students in my Learn Power BI program. And we've had some amazing success stories. You can watch them later by clicking in the corner. And I guarantee that these steps are going to help you find a Power BI job. And not just that, also shorten the time to find one. Now, these steps are simple, but not necessarily easy. But if it were easy, then everyone would do it, right? I want to give you something that if you choose to follow would give you a tremendous edge over everyone else and land you that Power BI job. I'm Avi Singh, Microsoft MVP and a best-selling Power BI author, and I've helped hundreds of students become successful Power BI professionals. Now, if you want to become a Power BI pro, make sure to subscribe and click that bell so you're notified whenever I go live to answer your Power BI and career-related questions. If these tips help you in any way, make sure to leave a comment. Now, let's get started with step 1 in our journey to find a Power BI job. Now, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about looking for a job? Now, I can tell you every time that I had this moment where like, oh gosh, yeah, I should look for a new job. The first thing that I thought of was working on my resume, and then I dragged it on for months. People often think about resume first, or their next thought is about some sort of training or certification. But I'm going to share something different with you. Now, this comes from this book, What Color Is Your Parachute by Richard Bolles. Now, this has been published annually since 1975. Not just that, they've had more than 10 plus million copies sold and has been named the all-time 100 best non-fiction books by Time. So the lesson here is, if Richard Bolles speaks, you listen. And this is what Richard has to say about how employers actually hire, not how we like to look for a job and what's convenient for us and whatever myths are around and we follow as well, but how do employers actually like to hire. Now, can you guess where does our typically preferred approach of just working on a resume and going from there, publishing it on job sites and things like that, where does that rank? Well, that ranks at the bottom of the list. Now, there are some other options which we like focusing on, like the internet sites and such, and they don't rank high either. Now, what options do rank at the very top of how employers actually prefer to hire? Those are either from within or using proof. Now, if you think about that, what are both of these options doing? They're basically giving the employer assurance that they can trust your work. They have seen it in some form and they know that you have the ability to do the job. Makes sense, right? I mean, only when you know that would you want to offer that job to the person. Now, to back this up, we also did an informal survey on LinkedIn of Power BI hiring managers, and 9 out of 10 said that they would prefer work experience over certification. And the last thing I would mention on this is just put yourself in the shoes of the employer. If you were hiring, who would you really hire? Wouldn't you hire somebody who can show and demonstrate and has real work experience? Well, then that, my friends, is your step 1. Your step 1 to find a Power BI job is that you should have worked on a real Power BI project. Now, it's quite possible that you heard me say that and you're freaking out, right? And you're freaking out possibly because of 2 reasons. Either you're in group A or group B. So if you're in group A, then you're saying, Avi, what are you talking about? I'm looking for a job. What do you mean? Where am I supposed to find and work on this real Power BI project? Isn't that kind of what I'm trying to do? Well, I will share some tips for you that if you are looking for a job, if you're in between job, how you can go and find a real work on a real Power BI project. But maybe you're in group B where you say that, hey, I already have had opportunities for my current employer to build real Power BI projects, current or past employers. So I've done that. Maybe you worked on a few different projects, but Avi, it's still not working. I'm not able to find my next Power BI job. Then, my friend, you're in luck, because we're going to cover that in steps 2 and 3 and make sure you get a Power BI job that you desire. So at this point, let's assume that all of you, so I want you to put yourself in the state where you have worked on a real Power BI project, right? So put yourself in that state, and we're going to move on to steps 2 and 3. So let's talk about step 2. So let me ask you a question. If a tree falls in a forest, does it make a sound? All right, now tell me this. If you did some cool Power BI work, but nobody knows about it, does it really matter? Well, it actually doesn't, and that's the change in today's day and age. You can't just do good work. You got to tell the world, and there's so many different ways to do that. So that, my friends, becomes your step number 2. After you worked on your real Power BI project, step number 2 is to showcase that project. And hey, I'm going to talk about a really special opportunity right here on our channel, because we want to make it really easy for you to showcase your work, and we want to shine that bright spotlight on you, which you so deserve. All right, but let's just go through a list of, I brainstormed some ideas. By the way, if you have more ideas of your own, definitely add them in the comments below. Or if one of these ideas worked really well for you, help you connect with others and so forth, maybe get interviews, maybe something like that, then leave that in the comment below, and that's going to help everybody in this quest. So once you have done your real Power BI project, you can go post a LinkedIn article about it. You can mention that in your resume. Maybe you can even build a dashboard and link to that on your resume. You should definitely mention this in all of your job communication. Maybe even put a footer in your email which links to the article that talks about the Power BI project that you worked on. You should cross post and cross promote on all of your social media, even on your personal Facebook page, right? I mean, you definitely let people know that you have worked on this. You never really know where that connection is going to come from, which is going to land you that job. Could be your business or professional connections, could be your personal connections. You never know. You can talk about this at user groups. You can present, or you can just mingle with the audience and discuss with them. You can definitely go to business groups and meetups. And again, I'm sure there are a lot more ideas there. Brainstorm your own ideas, pick your own style, what works best for you. And again, if you have more ideas, then share that in the group. Now, I want to talk about that special opportunity. So again, our prompt, we want to make it super easy to shine this bright spotlight on you. So once you have worked on these projects, we have a great opportunity on one of our Talk Power BI regular features. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, we go live every Friday on Talk Power BI, but some of those episodes are these special episodes where we call them Dashboard Makeover, and the whole idea is to showcase and review your Power BI dashboards. So go to learnpowerbi.com/makeover. We're going to link that in the corner as well, and that it's going to talk about how this works and how you can submit your entry here, so that what you have built, your project, your dashboard, can be showcased in front of a worldwide audience. Let's keep going. So that was step 2, showcase your project. Now, hey, I haven't forgotten about this group A, and I will share tips on how you can find and work on the real Power BI project. So stay tuned for that. But again, we have just talked about step 2, and you can see that how doing the step 1 of working on a real Power BI project, how powerful it becomes, right? I mean, you take that work and you amplify that power on step 2. So you can see how step 1 feeds into step 2, and it's really critical. Now, if you have done these steps, and if you have done them right, then inevitably you would have landed an interview, either formal or informal. Remember, every meeting is an interview. That was Jack Welch's quote, by the way. So you never know, the next person you talk to or you exchange comments on LinkedIn could lead to your next job. So again, if you've done these steps right, you would land a formal or informal interview, and that's what I want you to do in step 3. I want you to ace the interview. Now, most people, when they think about interview, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Most of them talk to me about technical skills. Oh, Avi, what about DAX, this DAX question, M and relationships and modeling, Power BI platform, and all of that. Folks, I'm not dinging technical skills. Technical skills are really important, and you should certainly get a good grounding of the core concepts in Power BI and its application. And a great way to start is my 60-minute Power BI tutorial. We're going to link it up in the corner and in the description as well. So by all means, go through the tutorial, go through the other material, join me in my course if you need to, and of course, use all the resources available to you on this World Wide Web and get the technical skills. But what I want you to remember, what's critical is that you are not just the technical skills. If you just focus on that, you will keep running into walls. You'll keep getting to interviews but not making it through, because you gotta bring your whole self. So not just skills, but think about the attitude and the aptitude in everything that defines you. So that's my next tip for you, or next lesson, that you gotta be truly you. You gotta bring your own authentic self. Now, when I talk about this, people often get stuck, and this is kind of where they misstep, where they feel like every time they walk into an interview where they're looking for a Power BI job, they need to act like a Power BI expert. And again, my friends, the key is to be you. So if you don't necessarily feel like a Power BI expert and you try to act like one, it's going to end up a disaster. And you've probably, maybe, hopefully not, but maybe you have experienced interviews where you walked in and you postured as that, oh, I'm the Power BI expert, but once hey, people can always trip you up. I mean, I'm sure if I walk in an interview, they can ask me questions which is going to make me look foolish, right? So things like that happen. But what I want you to hold on to is that you don't necessarily need to act that way. There's a more authentic way to act without posing like somebody you don't really feel like. So instead of being a Power BI expert, you can be something else, and everybody can do this. So what is this E word? What is this other E word? Well, it's enthusiast, right? Bring your passion about Power BI and let it boil out and infect them, right? I mean, so if you're watching me on this channel, you probably are passionate about Power BI. So yeah, let that come through. And we're going to talk about specific tips on how you can effectively do that. Right, so we're going to come back to this one, but let's keep going. And what I want to share with you at this point to ace your interview is the 50-50 rule. Again, it's mentioned in this amazing book, What Color is Your Parachute? Now, this, as mentioned in the book, is based on a study done by the MIT. And what they found was that people who got hired were those who mixed speaking and listening about 50-50 in the interviews. So half the time they let the employer do the talking, and half the time they do the talking, right? So imagine an interview where you're speaking too much. Well, you got to tone that down, because that's going to come across as maybe you don't have good listening skills, or you're not interested in finding out the other party's perspective or their opinion. So make it 50-50. Don't be speaking all the time. And of course, if you're speaking too little, well, that's not a good recipe for an interview either, right? So again, follow the 50-50 rule. Now, this leads us to the next point, which is one of the biggest mistakes that people make during an interview. But the good news is you can also flip that and turn that into your biggest opportunity. So the biggest mistake people make is when this question is asked. So at some point in the interview, so usually in an interview, you're going to be going through a series. You're going to be meeting multiple people, right? So in the final interview for the job. So every interviewer you are meeting at some point is going to say, hey, okay, cool. So I've asked you questions. What questions do you have for me? Please don't blow this, because most people do by saying either that, no, I'm good, I don't have any questions. Dumb mistake. Or maybe it's even worse to ask a stupid question like, oh, how's the food in the cafeteria? Don't do that either. And this is your opportunity to really shine through as an enthusiast. ask some good probing questions, right? Prepare yourself for that. And again, my tutorial is a great recipe for that, because what it covers is some of the classic problems that almost all businesses face, right? I mean, challenge pulling data from multiple sources, or having multiple versions of truth floating around out of here. So, right, so this tutorial is pretty compact, but it covers these key scenarios, and that's going to set you up. So I would encourage you to, if you can come up with questions yourself, great. Otherwise, watch this tutorial and just take down good notes that, hey, what would make a good question based on what Avi's talking about, the challenges that companies face, and where Power BI can provide a solution, and just ask them about it. That, hey, do you have this problem? Do you ever face that? Do you ever go into a meeting and people bring in different reports and the numbers don't match up? And more often than not, man, you're gonna kind of touch a nerve there, and they'll say, oh gosh, let me tell you about it. And that's the opportunity to kind of really listen and talk to them. So again, come through as a Power BI enthusiast. That is a golden opportunity to do that. So, so to recap the ACE the interview stuff, make sure to follow the 50-50 rule. Half the time you should be talking, half the time it should be the interviewer. A great way to make sure of that is to ask great questions. And finally, as I said, be you, be 100% authentic yourself, and be the Power BI enthusiast that I know you are. All right, so I did say that I'm going to share tips on how to find a Power BI project. Let's talk about that. But which tips out of these did you find helpful? Let me know in the comments. And again, if you have more tips about this, then leave a comment as well and help out the community. So let's talk about this. So how do you find a Power BI project? Well, so for this, I have really focused on this, and this has been kind of my quest to solve this almost chicken and egg problem. And the way I've done that for my Pro Plus students are the real Power BI projects. So let me show you, and you can go that yourself at realpowerbi.com, and that's going to redirect you to this page, Learn Power BI. On my website. And the idea behind Real Power BI is really simple. We ask business users to submit their projects, and we match them with our students. Again, if you're interested, you can find more information about it. We run this program a few times a year, but the students that we match them to, those are that's a pretty selected group inside our Pro Plus program. At the bottom of this, you can also find information about our Pro Plus program. But hey, we open enrollment to our Pro Plus program just a few times a year. So if it is open or about to be open, great. You can go find out more information, maybe get on the wait list. And so if you're really interested, you can pursue that route. But I wanted to give you other options as well, if you are not in a position where you want to wait for that. So let's talk about the other options here. Now, these are simple, but they definitely work. The first one is family and friends. And, you know, it's funny that I have heard so many stories of Power BI professionals who are doing really well there, Microsoft MVPs and this, that, running training or consulting businesses. But I'm always surprised by how many times this story begins with them helping a family or a friend, right? So don't hesitate, just go out there and talk to them about it. And there's one tip that I'm going to share, which you must follow when talking to family and friends. So I'll talk about that in a little bit, right? The next resource is local, small, and maybe medium businesses. Now, a lot of these are doing well. They're kind of growing, but they are facing a lot of challenges, right? So that's also a great area where you can go talk to them and see where help is needed. And of course, you can meet them in meetups or business groups or things like that, right? So those are a great source for finding something that you can, a real Power BI project. But again, there's one tip that you must follow, whether you're talking to family or friends or local small businesses. And that tip, my friends, and by the way, there must be other avenues as well. So the tip is that you should never use the word free. Never, ever say, oh yeah, I'll do this for you for free. Guys, free in this world means low value, or there's a catch, and right? So as soon as you say the word free, either you're thinking, well, this can't be valuable, this can't be worth my time, or they're thinking that, oh my gosh, what's this? Yeah, what's the catch, right? So never use the word free. Instead, when you're talking to family or friends or local small businesses, say something like, Oh, so talk to them, like listen to their problems, really listen, all right? Yeah, listening skills are great. So listen to the problems and then tell them a little bit about Power BI. Not too much, just keep it simple. Like, yep, Power BI has a lot of capabilities and so forth, and I believe it can definitely help you. So hey, if you would like to, we can run a small proof of concept. We can, work together for a few weeks and see how much we can accomplish, and then go from there, right? So again, do not use the word free. You can say that, hey, we can do a proof of concept, and if they do specifically ask about pricing, you'll say, oh, well, the proof of concept is no charge, and after that point, then we can discuss how we want to work together. All right, see how easy it is? All right, my friends, so that was our 3 steps to find a Power BI job, and I guarantee that if you follow these steps, you will definitely find a Power BI job. So make sure to watch our 60-minute Power BI tutorial and watch our next videos. I'll catch you next time. Power on. Hey, keep watching more videos and keep learning Power BI. But if you did enjoy this video, I would love to hear from you. So leave a comment, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Power on, my friends.